Today, I would like to share my experiences with Goosechase, the original interactive experience online. If you will notice, we are at the login screen for Goosechase. Goosechase, inspired by scavenger hunts, is an online platform that helps create interactive experiences. For educators, it serves as an active learning technology that motivates students to step away from their desk and work in teams by texting in answers, creating cinematic masterpieces, and snapping photos of them reenacting key events of a lesson. It's important to note that basic access for educators without paid subscriptions actually allows up to 5 teams per experiences. So let's get started so that we can share what this experience is all about. I'm now logging in by clicking on my experiences in the top right-hand corner. You will notice here on my dashboard previous experiences that I've created. I will share an actual experience that I've had with you, but first I would like to show how to actually create one for your experiences. You will notice the blue box here that says new experiences. We're going to click on that. So essentially, it's important to note that Goosechase is really an online scavenger hunt for our students. We know that our students absolutely love using their phones, so why not make it to where they're using their phones and also engaging their love with taking pictures. So here is the details that would be provided to our students when it comes to creating the experiences. So we will first have to give it a name. In this case, I'm going to title the name of this experience Common Assessment Review. Experience. And if I want to provide some description here, we see that we have the space there to do so. And I'm going to say this is our opportunity to review for the upcoming assessment. It also provides an opportunity to have an experience location that's optional, as well as passwords that are optional. But we're going to go ahead and save this information here because we're ready to set up our missions. And so here you will notice on the missions dashboard where I can add a mission. To the right here, we have the opportunity to name the mission, to determine the mission type, whether we would be using a camera, text, or GPS. Well, for the sake of our classrooms, in most cases, it will include the camera. Teachers also have the opportunity to provide point factors to the missions that are provided to our students. And this is our way of formatively assessing our students to see if they're truly mastering the standards that we have set for each of the missions. And then you can provide mission descriptions here. So I'm going to hit cancel, but if you were creating this, we would hit save. Now, if I come over to the top here where it says create, publish, review, well, the first one would be for us to create our missions. When we are done creating our missions, we can publish our missions, and this is where we are provided the share your join code with your specific classes so that they will be able to access the missions that you have established. And then we have the review opportunity here to see missions that have been previously reviewed. So now, after we have established our missions, we can now review those missions and prepare to share them with our students. So you will notice on my missions screen, I have set up a mission academically specific to the standards that we have covered for this particular unit. Now, as I've previously stated, I am a literature teacher. For the sake of this mission assignment here, we studied The Kite Runner by Khalid Hosseini. I've set up missions that would include the central idea, cultural understanding, denotation versus connotation, in-text citation, symbolism, and ethos, logos, and pathos. Now, additionally, what I did with developing my missions is I tied them to the ATL skills as I currently work at an IB school. So the central idea mission that I set up was tied to social skills, cultural understanding. I connected that to research. Denotation versus connotation, I connected that to thinking skills. I also connected thinking skills to in-text citation. Research was assigned to symbolism. And with ethos, logos, pathos, I connected that to the ATL skill, thinking skills. So now let's take a look at these missions that I've created. With the mission titled Central Idea, focusing on social skills, students were asked to, with your teammates, act out the central idea of the kite runner, and they were asked to be creative. It was 20 points connected to this mission, and it involved the mission type camera. With the mission cultural understanding with research, create a 30-word speech advocating for the rights of Hazaras, as we've learned that Hazaras are the minority group for the Afghan culture. Denotation versus connotation in the thinking skills, students were going to create a cartoon which shows understanding of denotation and connotation. 20 points were connected to this. In text citation, thinking skills. Students were asked to create a live representation of in-text citation and to be creative. Symbolism. Students were to draw a symbol that represents Afghanistan as depicted in the kite runner, and it must have the colors of the Afghan flag. Our next mission was ethos, logos, pathos, where we had thinking skills of our ATL skills connected to it. And this one was 60 points, meaning I had higher expectations with this particular mission. So students were asked to grab an anchor sheet and create an advertisement for the novel, The Kite Runner. The advertisement had to include 3 modes of appeal, as that was also a part of our classroom study. So now let's take a look at some of the missions that were submitted to us. I am now hitting review because here is where we were able to identify what our students had done academically. I can also hit submissions, which is on the left-hand side. So with hitting submissions, I have the option to either group it by mission, group it by teams, which you can see that students had named groups, all correlating with the study of the kite runner. You can also group by teams A through Z. So going back to those missions, I mentioned earlier that we had a mention on central idea, and we also had social skills tied to this. Let's look at some more examples. So here, symbolism was a part of our academic study, and I wanted students to use research as their ATL skill here. And so they drew symbols that represent Afghanistan as depicted in the novel. So here we have some examples of how they would take the paper, draw it out, and include that as a part of the mission that I'd established for their study, for their common assessment. Again, denotation versus connotation was a part of our academic study and a part of our assessments, and so students were able to create cartoons which showed understanding of both denotation and connotation. So once students have submitted all of their missions, we can then, as the educators, determine which groups have effectively scored the total number of points per their missions. And it's also important to note that students are able to redo their missions if you kick that mission out. So here we notice that we had 5 active teams. That is important to note because with basic access to Goosechase, educators are provided 5 teams per experiences. Because we do not have a full subscription, it is okay to archive each class so that you can come back to it. So we had 5 teams. We had a total number of 30 submissions. And on average, if you notice here, which this is a very important box, we had 100% mission completion. This shows that there were absolutely no students off task. All students were actively participating. And as the instructor, I required that all students be a part of at least 2 to 3 videos per mission. So all students were actively engaged, and that's what we want in our classrooms. So we can then come down and take a look at the mission popularities. In this case, all of the missions were popular. The students were highly engaged in understanding the expectations, and not to mention, they really enjoyed coming to look at the pictures after we had finished all of the submissions. We have team engagements over here as well that we are able to review to make sure that we are providing students with that formative assessment that we like to give, which leads up to their summative assessments. And so we can see here that the total number of points that students were able to get with the missions that I had created for the assessment was 160 points. They had a total of 6 submissions. And in this case, students were able to get full credit for their participation. Again, all of this information can be downloaded, archived, and saved for future, where if you want to go back and review, or if I want to republish this mission, again, we have our activity feed, which is where we are monitoring it. I think it's also important to note that one thing that I do often with using Goosechase is I project it on my screen in the classroom so that as their pictures are popping up, students see that their peers are actively engaging in this, and this too serves as motivation for our students. I can't say that I've had a large amount of off-task behavior when it came to utilizing Goosechase. I can even say that outside of the classroom, I was even able to use this with engaging our new teachers at North Atlanta High School. And so I used this one year, and teachers really got engaged with it, which was a great experience as well. So it is definitely a tool that we could use outside of the classroom. Here's an example video of one of our teachers who actively became engaged in the missions while he was becoming introduced to North Atlanta High School.
Miss Ramadan, I got all my stuff. I'm early, and I got all my stuff. That's it.
All right. So in this case, we see that our teachers, when they come to new schools, they're excited and showing that they're ready to get to working in their classrooms. And so that was one of the missions that was established here for our new teachers. Goosechase is an excellent tool to add to a teacher's toolbox. As you can see, we've used it as a learning tool for our students when it came to reviewing for assessments. We've used it as a tool. Our teachers, giving them an opportunity to engage in activities where they're getting to know others in the building as well as the building itself. And so it is a well-versed tool to consider using. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share with you Goosechase. Again, my name is Erica Williams at North Atlanta High School, and if ever I can be of support, that's where you can find me.